Hey everyone, it's Yvonne Inglesos here from the Eating Disorder Recovery Hub, and today I'm going to be talking about why is a binge so hard to stop, because that's what you asked to hear about, and so that's what I'll be talking about. I thought I would actually start by telling you why I can actually speak about this, and it's not about my professional credentials. It's actually because for 14 years I struggled with, and I'll say eating disorders, because it ranged anywhere from bulimia through to restricting through to binge eating disorder, exercise addiction. So I have a lot of particular personal experience with why a binge is so hard to stop. And I also know it's one of the major issues that people are struggling with on our fan page. So if you're in our community and are struggling with this, I urge you to really consider what is happening for you, because so many people get frustrated with themselves about not being able to stop a binge. Okay, so this is particularly focused on why you can't stop a binge. So I'm going to talk to 2 points specifically, and this is to really hone in on the reasons why you're not able to stop. And I know a lot of people think that it's about I can't get enough food, or that there's a food addiction. I'm going to take a different stance to this, and the points I'm going to be talking about is the binge is not usually about food, right? So there's usually a lot going on that leads to the binge. However, the binge is what you're focused on. The binge is what causes you distress, because you see it and you can't stop yourself. So that's what's actually, it feels like that's the issue. But I'm going to talk to you about the other things that sit underneath the reasons that you binge. The other point I'm going to talk to is the fact that binging is usually strongly connected to your feelings and how you choose to how you're choosing at the moment, and the only way probably you know how to soothe yourself. So we'll talk about these and why it makes stopping binging so hard. So a binge is not about the food. I know, controversial, because a lot of people go, well, it's just about the addiction and I can't get enough of the food and I'm going to have more of it. Well, often it doesn't really matter how much food you're having, that it's not helping you to look at the issues that are leading to the binge in the first place. So we get so focused on trying to stop the binge that we don't realize there's reasons why we're actually doing it. You need the binge for some reason or another. You're needing it at the moment, and you're giving yourself a hard time because you can't actually stop. So I'm going to encourage you to give yourself a bit of a break, firstly, because you're not binging just because it feels good. At the moment, it's probably the only way you know how to deal with life, deal with your emotions, and that's really what is, an important thing for you to focus on at the moment. So I want you to just think about, if you could soothe yourself another way, right? If you could do that right now, you probably would be doing it, but it's not happening. So I want you to just slow down and think, I'm giving myself a hard time about not stopping this binge, but what else has led me to it? So what's happened before this, or what feelings am I trying to avoid, or what am I not saying that is causing me to lead to binging or reach out for food? Right? More often than not, we're avoiding something. We're avoiding our feelings, we're avoiding talking to someone, we're avoiding processing whatever's happened to us. It's different for everybody, but I want you to start knowing that the binge itself and you not being able to stop isn't the issue. If we go back a few steps, it's trying to get to why it's happening, because then you have a bit more control. You have a bit more insight into what's going on, and you won't beat yourself up about the fact that you can't stop yourself. I know a lot of people think that this is just about willpower, and that when you build your mental strength, then you can stop whenever you want, and if you really care about yourself, then you'll do it. That's not the case. It's not going to happen like that. You actually have to start building some self-awareness around the binge. What's going on before the binge? What am I actually needing? More often than not, it's about needing something from ourselves, from relationships, whether it's speaking up, whether it's acknowledging our feelings, whether it's, setting some boundaries with people. all of these things, when we're not practicing them as a human being, we're not practicing them daily, binging becomes a solution, right? Now, you don't get to stop a binge if you can't get to the issues that are leading to it. So if you're never going to deal with your feelings, then it doesn't matter how much food you have. That binge can be as small, as big, as long, last for 5 minutes, an hour. You've blurred the lines between food and what it brings to you and what you need to get from relationships. Okay, so I'm going to encourage you to really think about, what do I need to get from relationships, from myself? Where am I not doing something for myself? Where am I not speaking up? And then start realizing that these are connected. Okay, you don't binge for no good reason. Like I always say, you don't binge for, because it's a random act of craziness. You're binging because you need it for some reason. Let's work out what the need is. Yeah. Hey everyone, it's Yvonne Inglezos here from the Eating Disorder Recovery Hub, and I'm talking about why is a binge so hard to stop. So I was live just a few minutes ago and talking about the fact that you have you're not choosing to binge for no good reason, and I'll post that video later on when I've put them a little bit together, but I wanted to just keep talking to you about why it's so hard to stop a binge. Now, when you have used binging to help you with your emotional needs and to help you get through each day, it's going to be tough to actually stop without realizing what is the binge helping you with. So that's one of the challenges that lays ahead of you if you're still struggling with this. And I know it's a big part of what's going on in our Eating Disorder Recovery Hub community, because you all Facebook message me and are sending us lots of comments in the feeds around how hard it is to stop binging. Okay, and more often than not, the stress is around the binge. So everyone freaks out about the binge and why I can't stop, and giving yourself a hard time. And I want to really say, stop giving yourself a hard time. If you could stop it, if you could stop the binge, or stop doing it, or shorten the time, you would. But you need to actually build some self-awareness before that's a possibility. So, and I talk to you about this because I have had a lot of personal experience, and I see it with the people I mentor to sort of get out of their eating disorder and out of the binging, that you give yourself a hard time about the fact that the binge is going on and that you can't stop it, and that it goes on for whether it's 20 minutes, a couple of hours, or binging 3-4 times a day. And the thing is that if you stay focused on that, you miss the point of actually understanding what's going on. What is the binge trying to tell you? What is the binge trying to help you soothe? So you are struggling with it for a reason. Okay, we don't just choose to binge because it seems like a good idea. More often than not, it's a really deep need, it's an emotional need, and we need to understand what's happened that this has become your go-to. Why has binging become your go-to to get through life and to get through every day? There's a strong connection between binging and our feelings, and more often than not, what we're doing is we are trying to regulate our feelings. Now, the very fact that you struggle with binge eating means that you don't know how to regulate your feelings. So you're wanting yourself to stop the binge when you actually don't have the capacity to regulate your body, your feelings. So you're wanting yourself to do something you actually don't have the skill to do just yet. It doesn't mean you can't have it though, and that's the exciting part. The exciting part is that you can actually change this. So you're able to stop binging only once you connect that there's an emotional connection to this. When you're able to learn that, and when you're able to get that, how, for example, you take in food. If you've binged, if you are noticing how quickly you eat, I would say to you, that gives me information about how intense your feelings are. So as quick as you take the food in to binge, it's actually you trying to get away from the feeling, because as soon as you take in food and binge, you're not thinking about what's happened to you. You're not thinking about how pissed off you might be with someone. You're not thinking about how upset you are or how hurt you are or disappointed. What you're thinking about is how full you are. And what you're thinking about is how you can't stop this binge, rather than what's happened to you in your life and the feelings that come with it. So it's almost like a distractor, but it's you're not choosing to do that consciously. It's your go-to. So I really want to stress that this isn't about me saying you can just change this. It's saying that your feelings and how you cope with them and how you process them or not is leading to the binge. And you have to learn, and this is what we'll keep talking about in our community, and I'll keep talking about this in the Recovery Hub, that how you learn to communicate with yourself, with your feelings, how you connect with them is going to have a massive change on your binging. Because whilst you're not connected to yourself, it usually takes a lot of food to try and numb yourself. Yeah, it takes lots of food to try and get rid of the intense feelings. So how quickly and how much you eat gives us an idea of how much you're struggling with the feelings, how quickly you want to get away from them, and you can't stop because you don't have any other way of dealing with life. You don't have any other way of dealing with your feelings. So the binge feels like the best way. The problem is most people don't make this connection, and that's why I'm doing this Facebook Live for you guys to revisit and watch and think to yourself, okay, hold on, when I'm binging and I'm beating myself up about not being able to stop, what's actually going on for me? What's happening for me that I'm feeling like I need to stuff myself with food, fill myself up, and I can't stop? Yeah? We then become distracted with that fullness feeling rather than the intensity of our feelings. So we go towards thinking about the food, about not being able to stop. We give ourselves a really hard time. We're usually really, really angry with ourselves for binging again. So it feels like, man, I've got no willpower. I'm just weak. I'm pathetic. I'm disappointed with myself. I'm going to be good again tomorrow, or I'm just going to start again. Some people don't even have that talk anymore. Yeah, that it's been so difficult that the binges are just all consuming. And I want you to, if you can, slow yourself down before you're about to binge. Grab out a journal. Just grab out a journal. You can still binge, okay? I'm not saying use journaling as an avoidance. What I'm saying is slow down enough so that you actually get to see what it is that you need, right? You know, I'm annoyed, I'm pissed off. You may not start like that. You may not have any idea what's going on, but I assure you, the binge is not the issue. Something else is going on, and we need to help you understand what that is, what the feelings are. How do we help you to build a better support system and the internal skills? Yes, internal. This isn't a magic, fix from outside. You can get to know yourself, get to know what's going on with yourself. Understand that your feelings are not the enemy. In fact, they're going to be your way out of these binges. So I'll keep talking about that in the following lives coming in the next few weeks, because I know this community has a lot of people struggling with binge eating disorder, with binging and not being able to stop. And I want you to know that the issue itself is not the binge, and that it's not about you being weak. It's not about you being having a lack of willpower or even a lack of wanting recovery or a life free of this. There's some actual stuff that you can learn to get out of this. There's some reasons why you can't stop, but we have to help you guys to understand and uncover what they are. It's different for each person. So I'm not going to say every single person does this and every single person has this experience, because it's not like that. What I do know is the binging is helping you deal with stuff. Yeah, we've just blurred food as the way to help us deal with our emotions, and we have to help untangle that, because too much of our world focuses on the food and helping you to have more willpower, to love yourself so that you can not stuff yourself and not binge, because when you love yourself you don't do that. It doesn't quite work that simply. So I'll keep talking about this. I really would love to hear your comments about how you struggle with binge eating. If you can, walk away the next time you know that you're going to binge, get out a journal, just write out what's going on. It might even be, I have no idea what's going on, but for the moment I'll just write something. You don't need to know the answer straight away. If you knew the answer, you wouldn't need the binging and you would be able to stop. So I'm not encouraging this just to, say you've got the answers. It's you got to slow down. Part of the binge is the pace at which you start to eat, because you're so eager to get the food in and to really soothe yourself, and you're not realizing it's a soothing, because some people do realize, some people get that they're using food to soothe themselves, and other people don't get it. They just are so hard on themselves about the fact that they're binging and that they can't ever stop, and the focus is the binge. And if we can just help you bring your sort of self-awareness back a little bit and go, okay, I'm not doing this for no good reason. There's something going on and I can change it. Slowly, you will be able to do this if you start spending some time with yourself. Journal, notice what happened before the binge, what happens for you when you're, like feeling intense things, or do you not notice your feelings? You just think about things all the time. All of this self-awareness, building that, can lead to being able to actually slow down the binge and eventually stop the binge. But for the moment, if you're going for the binge and you have no awareness around it, you're actually going to keep doing it, and you're going to need the binge to help you just to deal with your feelings, the intensity of them. So we want to build the capacity to not only acknowledge what we're feeling, but to tolerate it, that it's okay to feel frustrated, it's okay to feel angry, it's okay to not have positive feelings all the time. You can't get through life like that. You actually have to be real and notice that there are times that you can feel frustrated. It's okay. And food doesn't always have to be the go-to. But what you do eventually need to learn is what's leading me to a binge, what feelings am I trying to avoid or trying to deal with when I'm binging, and what other things can I do? Like, how can I speak up for myself? How can I actually be assertive? How do I set some boundaries? How do I not people please all the time? That's been a massive talking point on our page. The people pleasing post has just been going viral because I think it's such it's like an epidemic, really. And people pleasing, well, people don't make the connection between people pleasing and what we do with food. So I'm going to keep talking about this in the coming weeks. I really want to encourage you to slow yourself down, to know that you can't stop a binge because there's some intense feelings usually going on that lead to the binge. And the issue is not the binge or your lack of willpower, but really about helping you to understand what feelings am I trying to avoid? What do I need to develop inside of me? And then we will start to see shifts in our binging. Most people want to change the binge first and then feel better, but it's actually the other way around. We start to acknowledge and have some self-awareness, and then the changes come in our food. So I'll leave it there for the moment. I love to hear your comments, so please comment below as you share this. I want to encourage you to just be nicer to yourselves, because binging is not the enemy, okay? Food is not the enemy. What we want is to empower you to know that you can shift this, you can change this, and it is possible. I'll keep talking about this in the coming weeks, but thanks for joining me, and I will continue talking about why it's so hard to stop binging in the coming weeks. Bye.